Good day, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations with Isa Favored. South Africa, we are voting on the 29th of May. Have you registered? If you have not, it's too late. But we are voting. Make sure that you do the right thing. And today we are celebrating International Human Rights Day. No, International Women's Day. Where am I? Why am I thinking human rights? I just spoke about voting. That's why I'm thinking now human rights. But it's International Women's Day. And the role that women play in the world, it cannot be overlooked. That is why there's a day where we celebrate women. And I thought on this day, when we're celebrating the International Women's Day, let me have somebody that, according to me, qualifies to be recognized as a woman of resilience. When I think resilience and I think human beings, she is the one person that comes to mind because of the kind of person that she is. She is resolute, she is resilience. She is my go-to when I need a good laugh. She is my go-to person because she just has this thing in her that will just make you laugh. Even in the most of serious circumstances that we could be talking about, she still finds humor in it. She is an amazing woman and she is looking beautiful. You will see her. She is Elisa Molaba. I call him gay. I'm going to try this formalizing thing, but I can't be formal when it comes to her. She is just my, she is a professional learning and development specialist. She has just been in the learning and development space for as long as she has started working. She specializes in career management, leadership development, and personal mastery. A wide range of qualifications from different institutions of higher education. I met her way back in 2005. Yes, when I joined Sohosan, where I found that she was already there, and we just connected as colleagues, and we took it outside of work. She is a mother. She's a mother to 6 kids, 3 of her own and 3 of her sister. In the midst of all that, with the responsibilities that she has, one day, life happened, and she was unfairly dismissed. And the reasons leading to her dismissal, amongst others, was issues of mental health, where she was admitted in hospital, and then a whole lot of issues that came out of that. So you can imagine when you have issues that you are dealing with, mental health issues, and you've got these responsibilities of children, and you lose your job, how do you survive? And I look at her and I'm like, Mgani, you are such a survivor because you have managed to navigate this space, difficult as it was. So, Mge, you are welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest and sharing your story and encouraging somebody. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much, Isa. Thanks for the invite. I feel special being invited on your TV show, your online TV show. It has been amazing watching you over other episodes. I am so humbled to get this invite. Thank you so much to you and to your viewers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Mge. Mge, now let's talk. Let's start not necessarily in the beginning, but for the focus of this conversation. I've said you are a very resilient person, and you have been. You've been able to navigate difficult circumstances in different aspects of life. But at a particular point, you then had a mental breakdown or a situation where you needed assistance. And in the midst of that, there was then losing your job. Can you take us there so that we can then just have the foundation laid as we move forward?
I think my depression is a diagnosis that I have. I have severe depression, and it all forms, or it is formed by having, in my case at least, having to take so much social responsibility. that you can't get out of. If I had to, I would. But I took so much on as a caregiver. I'm the main caregiver at our household. And I think it started when I was way much younger, even before we met in 2005. I lost my sister, who was 34 in a car accident. She had just had three children, the youngest being 18 months old. I stepped in before being a mother myself, and I moved in my sister's house. So then the caregiving started there. But remember, caregivers don't necessarily caregive the primary people, if that's where the word primary caregiver. If you caregive someone, you basically take the responsibility of their dependents as well. So if I'm a caregiver to my sister, if she's no more, I'm now, in our Black culture, you become the caregiver of those who are dependent to your sister. So same thing happened where I had to raise these three boys, inexperienced as a mother and all that. I then had my first child in 2005. And 3 kids down the line, my other sister died. And when she died, I had already taken 2 of her children in because already I could see that she was ailing and she was not coping. And then just before she died, I lost my job, unfairly dismissed because of all the pressures that we women take, of raising children alone, of working alone, and of having to be the central caregiver. One of my boys that I'm raising, who is biological child of mine, has got severe mental health breakdowns. He's got ODD, which is an oppositional defiance disorder. These are children that get defiant. They will destroy properties. They will um, they will be defined completely, suspended often. Yesterday, he just got suspended again, so he'll be home with me for 3 weeks, and I still have to go to work. So all those things, they just add to the mental health problems that women have that they don't necessarily talk about. So at some point, I made a decision that I need to be admitted into a rehabilitation hospital where I am going to be rehabilitated. Within that 3 weeks, I came back and literally I didn't have a job. So I was fired from one of the biggest organizations in our country, by a line manager who didn't, maybe had a fallout, number one. And scenario number two is that maybe they couldn't apprehend what mental health is all about. So there was me, having 6 children now, and I'm home and I'm not employed, and I'm still caregiving others, by the way. So it's not only about those in the home, you still have other sisters that will come to you, that their children will come to you, and basically it never stops. Um, that's the brief I can give you for now, Isa.
And I remember when we spoke in preparation for this conversation, we spoke about how you can go on, and I was like, we're almost similar because a part of me is tempted that we go, and I'm trying to control myself. Where you briefly, and I know that you have briefly spoken about the OP. What is it? The condition of one of your sons, opposition.
DD. Yes, the
Oh,
oppositional defiance disorder. That
disorder.
is the disorder that the children get to live with. There's a small percentage of children who are born with it, but it's a destructive disorder, whereby children get not to listen to authority order. For example, as a toddler, you'll say to a child, sit down and eat your food, and they will take their food and throw in a dustbin. And then it never gets better. It grows from one defiance to the bigger defiance, where they're expelled from school to school, where they even beat you up. I've had my son beat me up, um, for different reason of discipline. And then when when we were growing up, and then we go like, hi, mina ngeke umntana mangishaye. ngambulala mina. And then when you reflect back, it's like it never happened to you, where you basically still a caregiver to your child,
Yes.
and you can't relegate, you can't delegate, you can't push those responsibilities to someone else because you're the primary caregiver, and then you still have to go through and you see the child growing up and being a danger to other children, being a danger to you, being the danger to the society. And there is so less that our society can do for children like that, because you'll be referred from one institution to another, from a mental hospital to social development to education development. There is no department of government that I have not been and claimed my story, to the point where it was clearly made that the child needs to be canalized. That's a process where you go to court, you obtain a court order so that your child, basically uthatha ingane yakho uyayinikela to the state to look after, because they are of a danger to the family, to the pets, to themselves as well. And the canalization process has not been an easy process, because you have to think as a mother that you now delegating your responsibility and for a permanent basis.
For a
And
permanent
the
basis.
government is not willing. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but they'll rather explore all the other avenues
Before
Getting to
getting
of
that
to that
one.
one.
before they get to that one. But what happens to you and your mental health in the process?
And so sorry, just to come in, that is one of the reasons that I needed us to go a little bit there, just to paint a picture of saying, when you got to the point of you could not take it anymore, you have your own child that is yours, and you've taken on all these other responsibilities, and the certain decisions that you need to be making there, where you are thinking the other option is this. It does not come easy. It's not a decision that you will go through, because it is a process on its own, and it takes its toll on you as a human being.
Yes, it does. It does every day when you wake up, when you are sleeping and you're wondering if he's hurt himself, if he's hurting other children. What weapon you find weapons in the school bag. You get, you get to be on your toes all the time. And then you're right when you say you still also have to think of five other children. I had to deal with teenagers who just lost their mom. They need to grieve. They need emotional support. And you're at a point where I have to put myself. I didn't even have time to grieve myself, because the latest sister of mine who died was just an elder sister. Then there was me,
Yeah.
born immediately after her. So we had a
Yeah.
bond. We were close, but at the same time, you suppress grieving.
Yeah.
Suppressing grief is one of the things that, not really that you don't want to grieve, but you postpone it. And when you postpone it, it catches up with you later. And you have to be there for the children. You have to be there for everyone, and also not to be seen as biased, as a mother who's favoring children who are doing well at school, and not this one who's not doing well at
Doing
school
well at
because of the
school.
mental health. So you always have to be on your toes and balance the equation. And that takes away from you a lot, because you find yourself not having um um you don't have your own self-care.
Yes.
You can't, you don't know how to sit down on your own and be alone.
Yeah.
So what happened? So when you don't have time, you tend to substances. I tend a lot to alcohol abuse, because on alcohol abuse, when I'm abusing alcohol, that was the only moment that was for me,
For
because
you.
socially you're imbalanced. Parenting wise, you are not coping. Ulahlekelwe umsebenzi. Every time when you have to think of the day that you are paid, there's no money.
There's no
You
money.
have 6 children to pay school fees for. And I had to find other ways. And once you get to realize that you are abusing alcohol, alcohol had already dealt with you because now
Yeah.
it's this dependency syndrome that
Syndrome. Yes.
mangena endlini, first thing ke hloka lebotlolo la wine, and
I
lebotlolo la
remember
wine
just
le tsena ho kae?
Just sorry for me to come in. I remember also that realization. I'd like for you to talk because I remember you told me it was even before you lost your job when you were admitted, where you said to me, we were talking, and you said, Ngani, I've been diagnosed as an alcoholic. Um, um, that diagnosis, what did it do to you? When they said that, what did it do to you?
That was my moment of reality. Because then I I volunteered to be admitted, which means
yes.
I took my bag and I said, now I need help.
Yes.
And that is a stage where most women don't get to. We
To
wait until we get depressed and we do something. So, a moment when you have suicidal thoughts, you think, mhlambe, kiyahlanya. And
yeah.
that kiyahlanya, bona, it's for real. You
It's
need help. But we
yeah.
don't take it serious. We don't take to that point. We're just saying, nama thoughts. But when you get into an institution of rehab, you're asked questions. Do you have the suicidal thoughts? Do you feel like you're starting a project? Do you start and not complete tasks? Do you not care for yourself? Are there days where you don't want to bath? Of course they are. Okay, alcohol, let's talk about alcohol. And I remember very well in this room of interview where I was asked how many bottles of wine have I finished at most in one day? And I had to think of a day. And I said, no, the most was 4 bottles of wine. So 4 bottles of wine in a week, in a month. I said, no, in one day, I
In
can
one
down
day.
one bottle to another. And there's nothing. And that's where it's like, no, you have an alcohol syndrome. Not really a syndrome, but an alcoholic syndrome, where you it's the dependency is very high, and
On the
because it's a syndrome,
alcohol.
it
Yeah.
is embedded on your body. You don't feel it. You don't see anything wrong, and we tend to substances, and people will tend to drugs,
Yes.
and normally our substance of choice. I didn't tend to drugs, luckily, because alcohol is the best thing that I know. So when you choose a substance, you choose a substance that is familiar to you.
Yeah.
So women will get involved in drugs because maybe that was the substance that they got pre-exposed to.
True.
And
Yeah.
in my case, alcohol was the best thing because I'm not coping with work. I'm being told at work that you're not performing, you lose your job. I will fire you. That is the words from the boss. And you come back from sourcing out help, and you literally don't have a job.
Sure.
Isa?
You know, yeah, it's it's a lot to take in, and I always say it is your life. You are relating. For me, trying to comprehend all of it, it's a lot, but that is what you actually lived through. Now, let's talk about that. Your survival now during the time when you were unemployed, having to learn hori, the 25 is gonna come and there is no income. How did you survive that time?
Sure, it was a bitter pill to swallow. First of all, I had lost so much money on my pension because I had accepted a position of higher position, but with the cut of a salary. Now, our
Yes.
pension fund is a contributors fund. So when I signed a new contract, I was made to believe that no, you will catch up the money that we are cutting because it was after retrenchment. And immediately when I lost my job, less than a year after retrenchment or after signing a contract, there was so much money that I was expected to regain over 3 years. But here is me being terminated out of the organization within a year. So it was worse to realize that I actually had less money in my pension. And then I realized that no, I need to ukfasa iband literally, because now I can't live with the same salary in mind. So a lot had to give in. So from the food that you buy for your children, I remember at some point we used to have Uber Fridays. On Fridays, abantwana, they choose what they want to eat because they don't want to cook, or it was just a culture. Some of the cultures had to go. Unfortunately, they had to go fast. They didn't even have to wait. You have to do a culture change for you to survive as an unemployed mother. There's a lot of unemployed mothers in our country, and I told myself that they are surviving, those women, sometimes with even 12 children, 18 children in the home. So welcome to the world of surviving. And I had to make means with imali pension. What do you do with it? I had to settle the bond because I don't want a ex-bank loan being calling me good and kokelanga. And some of the measures that some women, I advise women to take is that go to the bank and say, I've lost my job. So give me 3 months. I think they can give you up to 3 months. So for me to sort out my things. Remember, a pension doesn't also come out immediately like your salary.
Yes.
It gets terminated and it gets transferred into some trust funds, and then it comes to you after all the deductions have been made. So I had to sit down and think of ways of surviving within that time. I had to settle in a car. I had to settle up a whole lot of things. I settled up the school fees for that year. But the following year, okay, fine, then what happens? So you have to put in measures. One of the things that I had to do is just to go to the school and say, I'm asking for an exemption. Things that I've never done in my life. And like, how you've been paying school fees so well. Miss Molaba, what is happening? I said, I'm unemployed. I need a school exemption. So for the first time, I had to ask for a school exemption for my latest children, for my children. And in some schools, they'll go like, no, we can't give you a full exemption because you have been paying. So since this is a temporary measure, you'll only pay 2,000 rand a month. And I'm like, in this high school, there's 2 children, it means it's 4,000 rand. They say, no, but then the other one you were paying 6.8, the other one was 5.8. So you are paying about 12,000 per month. We are now saying you're paying 4. So this is where we end. But Oksalayo, that was the measure. Okay, even though you know who's Leo 4,000 rand, so you will sign because then you are desperate. And I remember in one of the meetings, I literally cried tears where I have to put my my girl in class. And then, but we don't sifuna a deposit in these white schools. And I literally cried tears to say, I'm not working. Leo deposit at 6.8, I gave you the pool. You can come to my house, there's no 6,800. And are you saying that now my children will not attend school? I had to grow a thick skin and grow it very well. That skin had to do with me having to go to the department and having to go on Facebook and go to the MEC of Education, Honorable Panyaza Lissufi, and say, I need your help, give me your cell phone number. I had to get Amanamba Panyaza. I had to tell him, this is what is happening. You can come to my house, that 12,000 rand per month, So what do I do? So I had to go through, especially with my girl, Siswam Ushonil, and now the girl is moving from primary to high school.
Oh, to high school.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they said, no, this child we see, she was born in Limpopo. So what is the problem? What is the problem? No, the mother, but the mother, I'm the primary caregiver. What do I do?
Yes.
And that's where I had to go from MEC of education to the head of placement. I had to find their numbers, and you have to be brave to say this won't happen under my watch. And those are the things that I had to grow up to be as a woman. And Kaspedi, in my home language, but that is not a lie. You literally would swara tipaka bogaling. You will phone the MEC. What do I do? The next day, immediately after that, my child was admitted. His school fees is paid up. My textbooks, they are paid up. Like, oh, okay, is that what it takes to phone the MEC? Then back to schedule case is usa to solve layer school fees.
Yeah.
Even though you are on prepaid, they will come and say, no, the rates are not paid. And one of the strategies that City of Joburg will do is to take out the meter months.
Okay.
There was a Christmas that we didn't have water for 3 weeks.
Sure.
And I had to bring those strategies again. There's a friend of mine that I work with, I run with in my running club, who is a CFO of the municipality. I had to phone him and say, I want water now. The house is smelling from outside. My children have not had water to flush. It's festive season. What do I do? And you will sometimes, and then there's water. Did you pay?
And actually, when you're talking festive, in your house, festive, it's not just your 6 kids. You have more. You have more.
I have my 2 younger sisters who are not working, never worked. And then they have about 4 or 5 children each. When is festive? Auntie, we want to come. No. They Uber. They come to my house. That's where they find their peace. That's where they know that for festive, they will have a proper meal every day until it is full. That's a culture that I've had from the 90s, the early 2002 when my sister died. My children will call me or my sister's children and say, we are coming to you. I remember I was working at the Carousel Casino and Eka will say, Alexandra. And then they will go like, no, Namela takes Pretoria. So I've always been this aunt. There's this epitome of rich auntie. Unfortunately, I'm not rich. But when they see an auntie, at least wasebenza or sebenzayo, children can unlearn.
Yes.
They will find comfort. And sometimes I get angry at people when they talk about black tax and all those things. I think it's a culture that we have that we will, the person will not judge them to give them a plate of meal.
Yes.
And it's only when they grow older that they realize, it was yes. And at the same time, it's not them, it's all the sisters' children. Others come because they want career guidance. Others come because they are running away from the poverty at home. Others come because they just love your aura as a parent. So all of a sudden you have a festive season with 22 children. Now,
and no water.
If the city closes my water, it means siya espa, sathenga manzi, but we can't flush. And when I really cried to this official, and I say, as a the official in the governing body, and I'm just one person who has your cell phone number, and I'm asking you to open my tab. How about that woman in Soweto, in Alex, who don't have an idea, who don't have less of
yes.
who to call, who will go and say, who's the CFO of the city? Fix this. What about those people? And in South Africa, we may look like we are a very well-developed country, but there are people who are living beyond the poverty line.
A lot of them.
And the switch between the middle class and being under the poverty line, it's just like that. It's a thin line. And all of a sudden, being a very senior manager in a very big organization, in a switch, I was living under the poverty line.
You are so true. You know, it's so true what you're saying there, that the switch happened just like that. And in that switch happening, no one could have prepared you or the kids for it. In
their mind, you still remain the rich auntie that they must come to so that they can have a beautiful festive season. And I guess it was good that you knew who to contact, but for a whole lot of other South Africans, they don't have the luxury of knowing who to contact. But you had to, I remember you had to also, I learned during that time, the things I learned from you where you were telling me you had to go to negotiate for the non-payment of services and how difficult that was also.
Yes, you go to the city, you are negotiating because they've cut your services. And then they go like, oh, we see you were working at this company, but here's the termination. Then they will have to ask you, where's your pension? I remember this guy asking me, you have pension fund. There's no way that you can come here and say you don't have money to pay water. And at that time, there's no pension fund money left. You have paid everything. You are living off by it. You have settled the cars that you owed. You had to settle the house that you owed. And at that point, worse, I was even disabled by that time.
Yes, I need to bring in the disability of yours, because anyone who knows you, as much as I was listening to you earlier on when you were talking about as a caregiver, sometimes you don't even have time for you. One thing that I've always known you for, you've always been an athlete. You've always been an outdoor person. You are a runner. You are a hiker. You climb, you can go for days climbing mountains and all that. And one day in one of the races you were running, then you hit a pothole and you had a situation. Let's talk about that.
It was a normal running day. We trained with the ladies from the club. We are all wearing our kits. It was one of those cultural races. And after hitting that pothole, I fell down. I had a click on my knee and I fell down. And I didn't know what had happened to me. Then I was taken in an ambulance, and less did I know that I would be on a wheelchair for the next 9 months. So I was on a wheelchair. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was told that I have broken a ligament. What is a ligament? I've been running all my life since primary school. What is a ligament? No, it's a very crucial, it's a membrane. It's not a muscle, but basically it's a membrane that connects your tibia and your femur, which is your upper bone and your lower bone of your leg. So therefore, you won't be able. And when I remember when the ambulance fetched me, they said to me, this guy said, no, you won't be able to walk for 8 months. And I said, no way. How am I not able to walk for 8 months? He says to me, these kind of injuries take 8 to 12 months to heal. So maybe after 8 months, you'll be able to walk on your own. And you guy were ambulance. And I thought that he was crazy. No, it can't be me. Because I run every day. Sometimes I'll run in the morning and evening. I remember going to FRC, Fish River Canyon in Namibia. We spent 10 days in the canyon. One of the most craziest things I've ever done was to tackle the Fish River Canyon. And we did it in less than 10 days. In 7 days, we are out of there. We were so proud of ourselves. Did about 92 kilometers of hiking in the canyon. Not no road, no nothing. It's the canyon there. It's the sand, it's rocks, it's cobbles. And that's how fit the level of fitness I had.
Yes.
One day, no, we were with comrades. No, we run. One day, no, we go to Mpumalanga and we tackle Komati, the mountains of Komati. And for me to be on the floor, on the bed, I'm not working. I don't have medical aid.
You
As I spoke earlier about the line between the middle class or the rich and the people who are living beyond when you are living beyond the poverty line, you go to a public hospital, but oh, sisi kwenzenjani? Oh, uphukile. Wawenzani? I was running, but oh, gijima, uzibulele kanti. You will wait.
Yo.
Thina line casualty. We deal nabantu abakwaziwe, abadutshulwe. Treatment is this because I've had medical aid all my life.
All your life.
Since my working life. Ugijima uzibulele. Abafika odokotela bathi hayi no sisi lo ozibulele lo bekagijima marathon ayisizombona. And indeed I was in hospital casualty for 2 days. No one wanted to touch me because kuthiwa uzibulele kanti thina sidila nabantu abadutshulu. And that's where you realize that you are living beyond the poverty line. You can't, if you had money, you will go to Netcare and this would have been sorted out.
You will have been, you will have moved from one ambulance to the other and you will have called your medical aid emergency services and you will have been sorted just like that.
Just like that. No, you can't. Then I said, no, this thing is taking long. I'm on crutches. After 8 months, I went on crutches. I went on a knee brace. And then I started attending physio at a public institution in Vets. I think that was my breakthrough when I started doing physio. It's learners, postgrad students who are studying physiotherapy. You pay about 200 Rand per session, 300 Rand at most.
Okay.
And I had to raise that money because the time will be here. I would still be in bed and not being able to walk whatsoever. So the physio had to change the mind because it's all about the body. Yes, it's physical, but also the mind that you want to walk. So because you're sitting down on a wheelchair for 8 months, I had to relearn how to walk.
How to walk.
So when you relearn, it's a very most painful process. The relearning how to walk because you've done this before. Now it's a fear. You would say, if I put my foot on its own and I step on it, I can injure myself again. I think to me, the most painful part of the injury was to relearn how to walk because it takes emotions. Now you get anxiety. And then I remember being with a friend in my bedroom and I was screaming. And he said, you can do this. You've walked before. And I was screaming and cried. And I will fall again because that falling had changed a whole lot of your mobility.
Yes.
And you're going for almost that year. That guy with ambulance, was after 10 months. Like 10 months, I'm not able to walk. So that was a life-changing experience for me. In being an athlete, I gained lots of weight. Isa, I went from weighing 79 kgs to 95.
Something you've never been in your whole life.
I've never weighed 95 kgs. Even when I was full-time pregnant, you go to hospital, you remember that big scale, they say, oh, mommy, you are here to give birth. Step on that big scale there. It never hit 90 at all. I was 95 kgs. I'm having to learn how to walk in the new body. Your body changes, your perception changes, the self-confidence. You look at your clothes, they can't fit. And in the process, having to find my walk again back into my body, I had to go through the process of putting the braces. I can't go through surgery because then private hospital one. I remember going to a hospital, Netcare hospital in Waterfall. And I
Mhm.
said, no, I need to fix this because yeah, the
Mhm.
doctor said, come, let's do a quotation and see how much it will be on cash. I took a jump and I went to get the quotation of repairing that ligament.
Mhm.
And guess how much the cost of repairing the ligament was? It was 690,000 rand. Imali ukuthi nje anginayo kwabank.
Ooh.
I'll wait. Ngizayithatha bi-690 so ngizohlala kuyo yona le.
Anna. Yeah. Oh my
I'm struggling
goodness.
to have food from hand to mouth. But after the physio, I must say that I had to open a business that
Mhm.
was more, will encourage my mobility.
Okay.
I was brave enough, with help of friends, I opened a spa
Mhm.
in North Riding. I started massaging because that's the best thing that I know. But I knew that if you are a physical person and I'm massaging, you are using your hands, you're using your muscles, your tri muscles, your bi muscles, you are using your structure to go around the massage bed. And that would
Yeah.
help me. So it was a
Yeah.
business that I was not only doing for money, but to help me to
To
be
help
mobile.
you. Yes. Yes.
And when I see athletes and I'm massaging them, and I start adoring their legs. You know, it's like yo, konje imilenze yami ngehamba kahle. You know,
Angie.
I started to have motivation, and I started doing road shows. Who comrades when people are the clubs are going to comrades, I will offer to come and massage the runners before comrades and after comrades. I went through
Okay.
the running clubs that I knew, and then it was not about just giving free services. It was about having to see who's, you know what, one day I will go back into these kind of structures. And
Because
it really,
that's what you know.
that's what I know. So that helped me to cope. And I ran that massage parlor. I was I was running it every day. I closed it. I still do massage, even though it's house calls, but I had to close the rooms down. One of the good days, I'm sitting at home and I get a call to say, no, you are reinstated at work with immediate effect.
Imagine.
Through CCMA for the past 2 years. Yes, I've gone through the arbitration stages and all that, but to be quite honest, I knew I was going to be reinstated because there
Okay.
was nothing that is wrong that I did.
That
I
you
was
did.
fired based on merit of having a fallout with my boss, and I know that he used my mental health at my least a mental breakdown to get rid of me or to fire me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew that there was no scent, there was no person that I have fired. I knew that I was going to be reinstated, but I didn't expect it to be earlier. My business was booming at that point.
Okay.
Some of my clients saying it's about Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, people are bringing their wives, mothers. But I must also thank the social support. When you have friends, those friends, when you are down, they are the ones who are going to bring you up. I
Yes.
will be sitting here not knowing where my next bread is going to come from.
Mm.
And a friend
Mm.
will call me. I remember a friend of mine, Utakana, said, no, I've got my mom. It's my mom's birthday. I'm bringing my mom and her sister. And they will do a full body massage. And they will be me with 1,000 rand in my pocket
In your
without
pocket.
expecting it. So the
Yes.
social structures go a very long way. And the survival of the massage room
Mhm.
was mostly because of friends that I have been aligned with. I have been of a social support. And then that's where you realize with now you've been of a social support,
To
one
others.
would
Yes.
be be so supportive. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but Elisa, you are a great person. You've been there for us when we did this and that. And like I don't count those. But now you are down, you are out, and that's where all those people come in.
They
Just
come
to
in then
back,
to help you.
yes, just to back, story sam mangibuyele emuva kancane. I got a call that you are now going back to the organization with immediate effect, and the organization has did you back. You are going to be paid all the years ubuhleli ngazo la ekhaya. I was like, are you serious? No, we've given the organization 7 days to pay you. So, but when we're in on Monday, so I was not even given a chance to do anything basically. So
Yes.
I went back to work and I got paid the money that I was sitting. Angisayazi imali. As I was talking to you in one of our organizations, I mean, of our discussions, I don't know what money is. I don't know what it is to be rewarded. I know that
Yes.
I'll do a massage sports for the legs for 300 rand, and that will be the money for the rest of the week for bread for my children.
Yes.
I do another 400 rand massage. That is the petrol for the whole month. And within that time, when I was on a wheelchair, I also lost a car, got hit and run. And it was a thing that in the 2 years, Isa, there was so much learning that you can have it all and it can be taken away from you all.
Just like that.
You don't have a car, you don't have a job, you've got mouths to feed. I had to make a plan to get a small car from these outlets, this massive car outlet, just to get the children to school. So in essence,
Like wena mngani, sorry mngani, just to come, wena uyaphanda. Akunamuntu ophanda njengawe. You know, you.
ukuphanda kuyasiza. That's where resilience come in. You know, you can't sit down and rot as a woman. I respect women so much because women can have the resilience. If anyone asks, no, I'm gonna resilience, I can't do, because you haven't been in that situation. So I had to get this car, Elikama oil, because my kids have to go to school.
To school.
And because I had that, I was able to do other things. I can't drive because I'm on a wheelchair.
Yes.
So I have to depend on my nephew in Alex. And I had to bring him here and say, you are going to drive my kids to school, you are going to buy bread, you're going to do this and that. So in essence, having to be taken back to work or being reinstated at work was something that I did not expect.
At the time when it happened, at the time, you didn't expect it to happen at the time that it happened. And I remember when we spoke and I was asking you when you told me, and I thought, you must be excited. And you said to me, anxiety, because now I must go back to this environment that was so brutal to me.
Yes, I was very scared. And I wanted to pull back. I said, I'm not ready. And I remember work had to get me psychological support. I had to go to this psychologist and a life coach who was saying, you are going to go back to the environment. It's a toxic environment that got you out of work. The people that got you out of work are the people that you're going to face on the same floor, same entrance, same parking. So you can't go back in a state of pumengas. You went back having a mental breakdown. You can't come back with a mental breakdown. There needs to be a 360 change on facing your fears, because now you're gonna have to start talking work language. Toxic language. That one uishile emuva. You go and go like, oh, this needs signing. Okay, let's sign. Oh, this needs execution. Oh, what training? Okay, let's do work. Then your work at your relationship at work needs to start changing. And indeed, I did that, Nomsa, and I got back, and within 2 weeks of me being back at work, now my boss gets suspended. The HR manager that was online gets to resign. Abantu bayahamba. It's like, hayibo, sekushaya umoya manje.
Like,
why?
now I can
Because
wear.
the universe was talking. Because you can't be in the same space with abantu abahlukumezile, but it was not my doing. There is so much power of the universe. The universe does things and it releases things. The same way as clutch brake on a car. There's a way where the universe will put a brake on your life, but there comes a clutch moment.
A clutch moment.
And I don't, because I know you, I can see, I don't want us to go. We're going to have a follow-up. It may not be in the next conversation, but me and you, because I want us, the next conversation that I want us to have, I want us to talk about the lessons you've learned and how you are now taking them into your current life. There's a lot of things that you shared with me when we were preparing, more especially on financial management and da. We're gonna talk about that in the next conversation. Today, I wanted to introduce you and talk about resilience. And I think in your story, you have spoken so much. Anyone who is, I remember when you were talking about the wheelchair story, how that wheelchair did not come easy. You fought. You I remember reading it on Facebook and I was like, okay, you are a fighter. You don't take things sitting down. Life may throw punches, but you fight back. You fight back and you're like, I am not going to take this lying down. You want to fight life, I'm going to give you, I'm not going to go down silently.
Yes, I think that is the character that I have, but character only does not do you good as a human being. You need to get to the situation as a Leo experience, Yorkshire. And
Painfully so.
uyashara, then upinda uyavuga. You need that experience. So people don't get to be born with resilience. No, resilience is something that you learn, and to learn to appreciate life. The spirit of not begging down. I am going to fight this until. Yes, with the wheelchair. A friend came to me, a very good friend that I worked with in my previous life, and said, no, you know what, there's this um show in the radio where you can do this podcast about what your experiences, how you got fired, how you got injured, and all that. But to me, it was not about the resources that I was going to get out of the show, including the wheelchair. It was about getting my story out there. Because immediately when I did that podcast, it went viral. It went viral to even the board members of the organization. And that's how you go. Kanti kukhona abantu abanje abathithwa kanje in this organization. No, look into this matter. It was to accelerate my matter. It was to put it out there in a PR, in a way that I still would protect the name of the company,
yes,
but talk about my experience.
Yes.
So
yes.
remember, and I remember saying this to you, Ngeti, all the time when people talk about retrenchment, dismissal, and all that, protect the name of the company.
Yes.
Because it's not the company that did that to you. It's someone.
People.
Some people.
In the
yes. Employees leave people, not organizations. So even if you can have this bad experience about the company that hires you and pays your salary, protect that company, protect the organization. Because the organizations don't do things to people. It's people who do things to people in the toxic environment. So then that podcast was to get my my fighting and my struggle out, to say this is where I am, and it's because of the people. And I don't know if it worked well, or the universe itself, but at some point later down the line, I got things happened. There was some a universal power. Other people call it spiritual power, but I believe you're born into the universe, you survive within. There's something that survives you, and those are the powers that gives you that resilience. But you must be willing to fight. When I was suicidal, and I just couldn't take it anymore. There had to be fighting that happened. You have to go out
Yeah.
and you have to get
You have
help.
to.
When I had
Yeah.
to win over the alcohol use and all those self-destruction mechanism, I was saying, yo, manje, yes, man, ngaphuza ibhodlela le wine. I can't go half the bottle. I can't believe I used to drink 4 bottles of
In
wine
one.
per day.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's something that says, no, you have to stop. But it didn't come that way. It was a process. Like a
Yeah.
baby, you have to learn how to win self-destructive manners. The same way
Yes.
that I had to relearn how to
To
walk
walk.
from my bed. But someone has to carry you by hand. And
Mhm.
it's through the social support, like people like yourself, Nomsa, who are going to say, what is happening? You know, Luantombo, you used to say to me, Luantombo,
Ni
like, but that's
Ntombo.
so Nomsa. Nomsa, uyazi ukuthi nje angikwazi nokulwa, but those words of reiterating social sister support,
Mhm.
they come back when you are very vulnerable and quiet in your corner. And that's
And
where you pick the strength to fight. Yes, I would love to talk about financial management. There's so much that I've learned in the past 2, 3
we're
years
not going
that I
there.
wouldn't even have to learn. We're
Yes.
going to come back to your show,
Yeah.
hopefully in Nelspruit, and
Yes, we're
I'm
doing
going
face
to
to
give your
face.
viewers.
We're doing this. The next one we're doing face to face. We're not doing this virtual thing. We're doing it face to face. There's just so much we are. But Mge, thank you so much for coming through. You know, we are celebrating the International Women's Day, and it is women like you, because your struggles, they are not limited to South Africa. There's a woman who is somewhere in Rwanda, there's a woman who is somewhere in the UK, there's a woman who is somewhere who are facing almost similar, or but there's a struggle every day that we are facing, and we are saying, Yilwa Ntombo, be resilient as a woman, be resilient and not back down. Thank you so much, Mge, for coming through. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for allowing yourself to be you, and just sharing your story so that somebody else is encouraged. Your final parting shots?
My parting shot would be that you can't do life alone. It doesn't matter ukuthi you are married, you are not married, you are divorced, you are a mother of 6, you are a mother of 1. There are people who are not coping with 1 child.
Yeah.
And then they will phone me and give me stories and all that and all that. But instead of judging this one woman with 1 child who is stressing so much, I'll go like, you need social support to get through. So no burden is bigger for anyone. And I think there's also this thing eBhayibhelini kuthiwa uNkulunkulu akakwazi ukukunikeza umthwalo ongaphezu kwamandla wakho. I will dismiss it sometime, and I'll go like no, it's not that. It's about how much you're willing to overcome the situation. But the connotation is still the same. Umthwalo ongaphezu kwamandla wakho, it means that you God will give you the strength
To carry
and then
it.
to carry it. And in my own interpretation, I'll go like, no, but you have to have this, it's into one. So yes, uNkulunkulu akakwazi ukukunikeza umthwalo ongaphansi kwamandla wakho, but you must be willing to ask for help.
Yes.
Lo mthwalo angeke uzihambe. You have to ask for help. Shout for help. Women out there, ask for help. Your other woman next door, your friend, say, I'm not coping, and that will help in your resilience. It won't come on its own. Thank you so much, Isa.
Thank you so much. Viewers at home, you've heard it. She says you can't do it alone. We all need each other. We all need each other. Everyone needs the next person to be able to navigate this life. There's never a point where you can get to and say, I have arrived, I've made it, I don't need anyone. You will always need somebody. I know that I do life. My girls are my system, are my support system. I sit here today, I am busy with this conversation. My girls are out. I've got 2 of my girls who are carrying who are lifting me in other areas as I do this conversation. We all need each other. And happy International Women's Day. May you be I hope you've taken so much from this conversation, and I hope it will challenge you where you were about to just throw in the towel, to say, don't throw in the towel. Rise up and just do it, because you can carry it. Thank you, Mge, for coming through. We're doing this again, face to face. And yes, you look beautiful. Take care of yourself. And viewers at home, take care of yourself. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Click the notification button so that you can be notified when we have conversations. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay blessed.